Everybody, and welcome to another Hangout with Innovation Enterprise. Today we are joined with Judah Weirdry, the VP of Sales at Mashable. So it's great to have you on board with us today, Judah. If you'd like to give yourself a little bit of an intro, that would be wonderful.
Yes, of course. So I'm currently the Vice President of Sales and Advertising here at Mashable in LA. And I've been about 15 years in the business, and am excited to be here with you.
Wonderful. So yeah, you're joining us at the Digital Publishing Innovation Summit, which comes to San Francisco this December. It's going to be a fantastic 2-day event with about 30 speakers, so really looking forward to that event. If you want to find out more info about that, there is a link in the comment section below. So let's get underway and have a bit of a chit chat about all the kind of topics that will be covered at the upcoming summit. So first of all, obviously the growth of social media has had a huge effect on content discovery. What has kind of the effect on Mashable's content discovery strategy been due to this rise in social media?
Sure. So I think the biggest difference now is instead of people coming directly to Mashable.com, we're seeing that people are discovering and stumbling upon Mashable content more passively. So in their feeds on Facebook, on Twitter, even Snapchat, we've noticed that this rise in social media has given light to a new audience that otherwise, may or may not have found us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always a hot topic between publishers, particularly digital publishers. But how are you guys monetizing your content?
Right. Well, I think, still the usual way. We're still having, high impact or rich media display ads on Mashable.com. But I think that the newest method is, we've gone more platform agnostic. So we've created these amazing partnerships with the likes of Snapchat and Turner Broadcasting, where what we've been producing is content that's specific to those platforms. And allowing us to create sort of a rev share opportunity and more of a partnership with different mediums and different ways that people are discovering content these days.
Yeah, great. So obviously you kind of touched on it a little bit there about pursuing different strategies for different content platforms. Can you give a couple of key examples or that you've pursued across different mediums with your advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we get RFP'd by brands and agencies, we're starting to think more holistically about, how a particular idea can translate. And from there, it really revolves around branded content. I think the majority of the way we're working with our brands is through branded content. So, when we work with a Snapchat, for example, and we're creating video content, we're looking at how we can cut that video appropriately for Snapchat, so that that audience can sort of get that taste of the branded content that we've created with our partners.
Yeah, definitely. And how do your kind of KPIs for your advertising content differ between those platforms?
Yeah. So it's based on how the audience interacts with that particular platform. So, for example, Facebook Live, we're really interested in engagement. Snapchat, as I mentioned before, we're the sole tech partner for Snapchat Discover, and what we're looking at is the unique visits. And again, that's because of the limitations or the way that the audience is interacting on Snapchat. So we're using each platform as how that audience interacts there. The other thing is, with Mashable Direct, so when people come to our site, we're looking at all types of KPIs, engagement, unique visits, page views, and click-throughs. So basically, it does depend on the actual platform.
Yeah, definitely. So really through the last kind of year, 18 months, native advertising has just exploded. It's everywhere. How have you really seen it progress, and what do you see your approach being in the near future?
Yeah, so actually I prefer the term branded content opposed to native advertising. I think, this is content. I think what's going to change is probably two things. One is context. So from now, we're going to be looking at like, this content has to fit in front of an audience that makes sense and is relevant. So I think it's that targeting that we're going to be looking for, that better targeting. In fact, Mashable has a special data technology, a proprietary technology that helps us understand more about our audience and what they'd be interested in. So when we're creating this branded content, we're actually thinking, who is this audience? What have they consumed in the past? What's trending, around this audience? And this technology is helping us develop stronger branded content. And again, I think we have to understand that our audience is super intelligent. People don't need to be bat over the head with a brand's message. I think that there will be a clear understanding from branded content that the message is there in the context. And then if we're smart about it, we're putting relevant ads, display units that are done in a smart way around that content. And just to kind of touch on that a little more, we've done some wonderful studies with Nielsen that looked at the lift in awareness on display ads around relevant content. So I think there's that correlation there between really, really smart content that's inspired by a brand, and then that proximity to relevant ads.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just touching on kind of context and all that side of it there, how important is it for you to be fostering like a mobile first culture in Mashable, considering how everyone accesses the majority of, the content, news sites, and social media nowadays?
I don't think we need to foster it. I think it's inherent. I mean, if I polled my staff here in LA, I don't know that they'd even know what Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is. I mean, we've got an incredibly millennial staff here at Mashable. It's really just in the DNA of our staff. Everybody here is constantly, checking out the new social platforms. They're using, Venmo to pay people. They're using Snapchat to communicate with their friends. We are much, we're a bunch of early adopters here at Mashable.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's obviously why you're such a great addition to the summit agenda as well, because, this aims to bring together all these different perspectives from the publishing industry. So whether you're, 100, 150 years old, like Pearson Education, whatever, or if you're kind of a product of the digital generation. So yeah, really interesting content sharing options there. So basically, just kind of going back to where we were a second ago, how important do you think it is for brands to have a strong content marketing strategy in 2016?
Yeah, I mean, I think content marketing strategy is incredibly important. It's something that's, again, it's at the center of what we do. And I think, the big thing that we try to focus on is that we're creating content for the right platform. And I know I brought this up earlier, but, we have to do a really good job of creating purpose-built content. We don't take it for granted that the same piece of content can be flushed out across every platform that Mashable is on. So for us, our audience and growth teams, again, are sitting right at the center of what we do. And when we're thinking about pushing out content, we're really keen to make sure that content is appropriate and resonating in the right way with where it's being consumed.
Yeah, absolutely. So very much so after the last few years, like we've been touching on with social media, the line between content producers and content platforms is definitely blurring. Do you imagine we're still going to kind of stay with that definition and divide, or can you imagine a future where all online sites are so closely knit that content producers and platforms all kind of just become one?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, the way I look at it is the amateurs or the smaller non-traditional content creators, they seem to appear a little bit more polished and put together on these agnostic platforms. And then publishers like Mashable become more relatable on these platforms. So I think, what it's doing is it's creating this sort of equal opportunity experience for content creators and allowing them to be more timely, be more consistent, and just the overall quality of content is improving. So, the lines are definitely blurred, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So it's quite an interesting atmosphere within the industry at the moment with, social media algorithms and SEO really affecting where brands sit and how they are discovered. What kind of strategies are you guys using at Mashable? And have you seen kind of success with a particular one?
Yeah, of course. So, standard practices are being used for SEO at Mashable, but we have a really interesting technology that we're using now with our content. Again, it's called Velocity. It's our proprietary data technology, and what we're doing is we're actually A/B testing headlines. So when we create a piece of content, we throw it out into the world. We're creating these A/B headlines that actually are optimizing real time. In fact, we're even using the same technology with our thumbnail imagery. So we're really trying, real time to be getting the most efficient, most effective headlines and essentially advertisement for our content. So I think that's the most interesting thing, with the way that we're sort of taking SEO in-house.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously kind of looking to the future, multimedia communication is huge and video is everywhere, at least has been kind of all over for the last few years. How are you guys kind of stepping into that world of AR or VR or, progressing your video strategy?
Yeah. Well, aside from it being content on Mashable, if you go to or if you go to any page on our site or any social platform where we're relevant, we're talking about those things. I think AR and VR, especially video, is incredibly inherent at Mashable, but it all stems from the top. Our founder, Pete Cashmore, and CEO, he's an incredible early adopter. He's constantly interested in what's next. A great example would be a couple years back at South by Southwest. Pete was playing around with Meerkat, and we actually were I think #1 on the boards at Meerkat right away. Mashable and Pete were, and some of the learnings from Meerkat have helped us with our executions currently with Periscope and even Facebook Live. So we're really interested in the first sort of iteration of this type of technology, and then we're constantly pivoting and looking at what is out there in order to create better content on Mashable, but also be reporting on things that our audience is really interested in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So just wanted to say, Judah, thanks so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you joining us at the Digital Publishing Innovation Summit in San Francisco this December.
Thank you. My pleasure. Look forward to seeing everyone in San Francisco.
Great. See you then, Judah.
Thank you.